Alright, what is going on, guys? It's your boy ZF Monster today, bringing you my first Call of Duty Vanguard gameplay that I got earlier this weekend during the PS4 beta. By the way, this gameplay is straight from my live stream, which is why you see the overlay. I'll leave the link down below in the description. I'd really appreciate if you could give me a follow. I try to stream as much as possible, almost daily. Obviously, I'll miss a couple of days sometimes, but for the most part, I try to stream almost every day. During this video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and impression about Call of Duty Vanguard, what I think needs to be changed, fixed, added into the game before it releases in November. And I'll be starting with what I think needs to be changed, fixed. The first thing is that red dots really need to appear on the minimap. It shouldn't be a perk like it was during the beta, and especially at a competitive level. It should at least be a setting in the competitive playlist or in private match for when you play with the CDL rule set. For pubs, I understand that they're trying to make the game easier for casuals, so it allows them to sit in corners and not move at all. But even with that in mind, I don't get how removing red dots from the minimap can help them doing good. Obviously, if they're sitting in a corner and shooting, it makes it so that you can't see them on the minimap. But if you're decent enough, you'll obviously know where they are. So it doesn't make sense for them to remove the red dots on the minimap. We've been playing with the classic one forever, and it's never been an issue. So I don't think it should be removed from the game. Like, I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4, and I never heard a single person complaining about, oh, the red dot is on the minimap, it's so, like, bad, remove it. Nobody said that. So, obviously, what's not broken doesn't need fixing. And good players and competitive players will look at the minimap more often than what's in front of them, like the actual gameplay, because it allows for you not only to get info for yourself and your team, for you to make a play, but it also makes it easier for you to get a call out. So it helps your team and you to make those plays, to break setups and everything. So that's my first point. Red dots really need to be on the minimap, at least in the competitive playlist or competitive level. The second point that I got is that audio needs to be adjusted. For example, you barely can hear people that are shooting close to you, and I found myself getting lost during the beta. Since you obviously don't have red dots on the minimap, it's even harder to know where people are at times. For example, like sometimes I'd be in a building, I'd hear somebody shooting, but I'd be thinking they're really far away from me, but in reality, like, they were right next to me shooting at me or my teammates. It doesn't make sense. I think they tweeted something about them trying to fix it before the game releases. But for the time being in the beta, it was really a big issue, and I really hope it's going to be fixed by the time the game releases. But yeah, overall, the audio needs to be tuned. My third point is that dead silence needs to be a perk. Once again, at least at the competitive level. For pubs, I don't care that much. I don't play them that much. So I really want it at least to be a perk in the competitive playlist. We experienced it once during Modern Warfare 2019. And at a competitive level, especially in S&D, it really slowed down the pace of the game. And it made it so that sometimes you'd find yourself crouch walking and sitting in a corner pre-aiming to get info for you or your team, instead of trying to make an actual play like pushing a bomb site or whatever. It's especially bad for example, when, let's say, you're in a 1v2 situation in S&D and you don't have your dead silence. It's an issue because they'll be able to hear you coming from a mile away, and especially if you're on defense and bomb is down, for example, you'll, like, 9 times out of 10 lose that round because they'll be able to know where you are unless you're crouch walking or pre-aiming something. Like, it's obviously winnable, but it makes it harder to win those situations. Let's say it like that. This is one of the many examples as to why I think that silence needs to be a perk instead of a field upgrade. Once again, at least at a competitive level, make it so that there's a setting that you can turn on to make it so that dead silence can be a perk instead of a field upgrade. My fourth point is that spawns were a big issue during the beta, especially in the 10v10, 12v12, 14 versus 14 modes. For example, on this map that you can see in this gameplay, in the 14 versus 14 game mode, you'd sometimes find yourself spawning with a couple of your teammates right next to the players on the other team, or in their back or in front of them in their base. It made zero sense and made the gameplay really chaotic, and it could all be fixed by removing squad spawning. Sadly, that probably won't be happening because it was like that in Modern Warfare 2019, and even in mind, with everybody complaining about it, especially in the competitive community, we were all complaining about squad spawning, and they somehow brought it back, which makes zero sense, but it'll never be changed or fixed because once it's in the game, it's pretty hard to replace the spawn system because it's a lot of coding. I don't know much about it, but I know it's really hard. It's not as simple as just pressing a button and the spawns are fixed, you know. On the same topic, another issue with spawn in this game is that the overhead look over the map you get before you spawn is really an issue. It is really OP because you can see people obviously on the other team, and if you're a good player or at a competitive level, it is really OP because it makes it really easy for you or your team to make callouts to help you break setups. So I think the spawns are really, there's a lot of issues with them in this game from what I experienced during the beta at least. My fifth point is that FOV slider needs to be on console when the game launches, and I can't stress this enough. Please, they need to have it when the game launches on console. I think they tweeted that it would be in the game for console players when it releases, but for the time being, it wasn't there in the beta, which was pretty weird because when I watched the content creators that played the pre-beta, it was available for them during their playtime, but it wasn't available for us on the PS4 during this weekend. It's a big issue because FOV slider, it really changes your gameplay. It makes it way easier for you to see people. The game feels smoother, like you feel like you run faster. It overall makes the game better. And that brings me to my next point, which is the visibility on the game, which obviously is affected by not having an FOV slider too. But I found it really difficult to see enemies at times, especially at longer ranges, especially on a map like Gavatu, where there's weather effects, which for some reason caused a lot of distortion on your screen when you were shooting at somebody. It made it really hard sometimes to hit targets because, well, you couldn't really see the guy that you were shooting at, especially at medium to long range. It might simply be because of the fact that I was playing on the PS4, but it's still a significant issue nonetheless. My seventh point is the time to kill, although it's really good in my opinion. I'll talk about it in what I like about the game, but the time to kill is really good, but it feels really inconsistent at times. It might be because I was getting a lot of connection issues and packet bursts throughout the entire weekend, which I never got in Call of Duty. I don't know why it wasn't working for me this weekend, but hey, it wasn't working. So yeah, like sometimes I felt like I melted people, but a couple of gunfights later, I felt like I was shooting an entire clip at them before they died. Like I was shooting Nerf bullets, basically is what I'm trying to say. It costed me a couple of times because I found myself like stopping shooting at them because I thought I put enough bullets into them to kill them. So I turned around, but in reality, they weren't dead and they'd kill me. It happened to me like 2-3 times that I can think of during the beta. But, you know, sometimes like I was melting people, but other time it felt like it took way longer to kill people. So when the connection works, the time to kill is perfect in my opinion. It's not too slow, not too fast. But I'll be talking about it a little bit more when I talk about what I like about the game. My last point that I'd like for them to fix before the game comes out is the attachment system. Although I don't mind having 10 attachment on my weapon, the problem that I have with it is that a lot of those attachment pros and cons combo didn't make sense at all. Like for example, a lot of the attachment take away ADS speed, which is really slow as it is in this game for some reason. So by having 90% of the attachment taking away ADS speed, it doesn't make sense at all because all it makes is that the games become really pre-aiming heavy, which is not really good because once again it slows down the pace of the game. It allows for casuals to, you know, sit in corners and camp a little bit more easier, but it makes it easier for them is what I'm trying to say. But I don't really see the point of having 10 attachment on your weapon if they take so much away from your gun. It doesn't make sense. Like another issue too is, like I just mentioned, is the ADS speed on a lot of the weapon. They need to turn it up a little bit because with those attachments, let me tell you that you're better off like not putting anything on your gun at times. But that's all I can think of for things that need to be changed or fixed before the game releases. Now I'll be talking about what I like about the game. You know, obviously, I'm really excited for the game. I think it has a lot of potential, but you know, there's a lot of things that needs change or fix. Obviously, it's a beta, so you know we're playing it for that. The first thing that I really liked about this game, which I said previously, is the time to kill. In my opinion, it's perfect. It's not too fast, not too slow. Even though it's inconsistent, I think it's perfect. You know, like you don't really have to empty an entire clip for the most part, like to kill somebody, like what it feels like. It's pretty smooth. You know, it's not as fast as Modern Warfare, but it's not as slow as Black Ops 4, for example. I think it's the perfect middle ground. Maybe a little bit faster, would be not good, but like, I like it as it is. I think it's perfect. So yeah, that's the first thing I really like about this game, the time to kill. The other thing that I really like about the game is that the gunplay felt really good. Every weapon that I played with, like the MP40, the STG, the Tommy gun, etc., were really smooth and felt really good to play with. And my point about that is that, especially at range, every gun has recoil, even ARs. As opposed to like Cold War or Modern Warfare, where if you had an SMG, you could melt somebody cross map without any recoil. And the same went for ARs. There was zero recoil, literally. Like every gun was an AR. So in my opinion, the gameplay was really solid. The guns feel really good to use. There's obviously OP things, but it's like that all the time in Call of Duty. It's been like that since the beginning. Things will be nerfed, things will be buffed, but as it is right now, the gunplay felt really good. That pretty much does it for what I like about the game. Like I said previously, I'm really excited for this game. I really do like it. I didn't mention that many things that I like, but it's because overall I really like the game. I think it has a lot of potential, but obviously they need to fix a couple of things before it releases to make the game really good. And another thing that I really, 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 really want them to have, either when the game launches or at least in the first month of it, is a ranked play. Okay, like it wasn't at launch or during the first month of Cold War. They didn't have it. They didn't have it till like I think the fourth month. Like they had it late in like January, maybe March. Like it was really late into the game life cycle. We needed either at launch or during the first month of the game. And I'd really like them for making the same to release the rank play the same way they did in World War II with an ELO system. Because the league playing Cold War, though it was fun to play a competitive playlist, the rank didn't make sense at all. I remember this one time, me and my teammate were playing a hardpoint. We both dropped over 50 kills with like 2 minutes of hill time. He got placed in the green division and I got placed in elite. Like it didn't make sense at all. And it really makes it so that there's no value to those rank, which is not that fun. Like it's fun to show off that you're like better than 99.9% of the players you're playing against. And on that same note, it'll be really good if they had good rewards for you to display and show off in those pubs pubs lobby or competitive matches. Not like in Cold War where they added them like way later into the game life cycle. It was way too late when they added them, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Although they were cool, it was way too late into the game's life cycle. And it would be a good thing because it might attract a couple of casuals to actually start playing competitive Call of Duty. Because, those casuals get on the game, they try to grind camos, try to get like some calling cards, some helmets, and all of that. But, by giving ranked players emblems, helmets, calling cards, outfits, camos that display like how good you are, it might bring a couple of them to the competitive side, which eventually, in my opinion, it would make the future CODs not cater that much to the casuals because a lot of them would become, better at the game and competitive players for some of them. Which, like I said, we need a ranked play in the first month at least and some good rewards. It might change Call of Duty in the future, which would be really good, obviously, because the past 2 years have not been really fun for competitive players. Because the game is catered to those casuals that are not really good at the game. Which I understand, but it's not the way to go, man. Like, yeah. And that pretty much does it for what I think about the game and my impression so far of it. Like I said, great game, has a lot of potential, but there's a lot of things that need to be fixed and added before the game launches in November. And I'm really looking forward to play the beta again on the 16th and for the game to release in November. But that does it for me today, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow my Twitch and ring the bell to make sure to not miss an upload or a live stream whenever I go live. And I wish you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.